In this episode, we'll talk about how a Filipino woman, girlfriend, or wife will drain your bank account. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, thumbs up button, share this video so we can spread the facts about this country so people are not blindsided coming to this paradise. I'll also read a story from Steve, who gives his experiences dealing with women for the past 11 years and how his bank account dwindled down to nothing either. Let's begin. If you meet a Filipina woman, at first everything's exciting. You want to show her that you care, that you want her. You maybe bring her a gift or two. Maybe you buy her a new phone, a new dress, perhaps some new makeup, You want to make her feel great, show her that you care, that you love her maybe even. You want to show her that you'll take care of her. But soon you realize you're spending a lot more money than you budgeted because one thing leads to another. After the exciting little weekend trips, checking out new islands, going to new hotels, and maybe splurging a little bit more than you wanted, you tell yourself, it's okay, it's worth it, I have savings, plus I want to impress her, because we are still thinking with a Western mindset. You have to remember that these women, 90% of them, or at least the ones that are dating you, have had nothing growing up, or very little, or else they would not be interested in you. Let's face the facts. So when you take her to these small little restaurants or over-the-top restaurants, let's say, when you buy her breakfast in the pool so she can show her friends on Instagram or the next Tinder profile picture, you don't think of who's behind the camera, who's paying for these trips, how did that girl from the province end up staying at a 5-star resort? Let's move on past all this because I'll make a completely different video about this. But before you know it, you have to give money to her family, to her cousins, for an emergency, a hospital bill, and next thing you know, you had a big hit to your bank account. But you don't care because you think to yourself, this is only a one-time thing. Perhaps I have some money coming in anyways, or we're going to budget better next month. But before you know it, all those numbers start to go down to zero. Someone says, since we are a community here, I wanted to make some comments. I could probably comment on all of them, but I just wanted to share my thoughts. Number 5 of disclosing one's finances is one I know about for sure. I'm guilty of being too frustrating or too trusting. I'm still learning my lesson, but it's too late now. I brought my wife over from the Philippines 11 years ago. We lived in the US 10 years and 1 year here in the Philippines. I had the mentality of treating my Filipino wife as an equal, and I shared info on what I had in my bank account. But stressed to her that a person has to save for the rainy days and unforeseen emergencies. I never let her handle the money, but she knew how much I had. Fast forward 11 years and my bank accounts have slowly dwindled down. So when I was single, I had plenty of money to go around, but not after being married to a Filipino. A person should be able to add to their money savings, not take away from it. I was even stupid enough to try to teach her about finances and understanding how to budget, and after 11 years, she still does not understand money, except to waste it. But also, whenever any of her family emergencies come up, hospitals or someone in the family died, my Filipino wife looks towards me saying, we have it in savings, and also the family look at us too. I truly regret telling her our total finances that I had in the bank because Filipinas don't understand money handling. Also, unless things have changed from the 11 years ago, if a person is still stupid enough to want to marry a Filipina and file for a K-1 visa to bring her over to your home country and marry her, you have to divulge your banking info in the application. I had money in 3 different banks and I included all of my statements from 3 different banks. So my Filipina fiancé at the time was at least smart enough to understand what I had in total in my bank account when she got my paperwork to file for K-1 marriage visa. So then her family finds out I have money and they're all excited about her marrying me. And even though I was living a modest middle-class lifestyle compared to how they lived in squatters and I appeared rich, over 11 years together, money should have grown, but since I married a Filipina, my bank accounts have dwindled down severely. So, the worst mistake I made marrying a Filipina is thinking we were equals in understanding dealing with finances. And the other is revealing how much I had in my bank accounts. If you really are set on marrying a Filipina, tell her you are living from paycheck to paycheck, and if you lost your job, you would not be able to pay your own living expenses, let alone send any money to her family. Another sad story some of you will have to deal with in Filipino expecting you to take care of their mama and daddy. An American friend I met here in the Philippines said his Filipino wife has 8 brothers and sisters. They're all lazy and won't help their parents. So he is the only one supporting his family's family. No one else contributes to him. And the 8 brothers and sisters don't even care that they don't help because they say that the American man has money. Last comment to remember, and I've posted this before, I've always thought Asian women were so beautiful, but it does not matter whether it is an Asian woman or a woman from your own country. After you marry them and together for many years, that beauty starts to fade. So your love for each other better be strong. If you decide to live in the Philippines or stay in your own country, as they get older, they don't worry about their looks as they did when they first met you. They'll gain weight. My wife promised to stay thin, but as soon as she had a baby, she just kept gaining and gaining more weight. They eventually lose teeth because they didn't take care of their teeth growing and living in the Philippines. No dental care. That long, shiny, beautiful straight hair will start to dull and look dry and brittle, and they will either ball it up in a bun on their head or chop it off short. And if they think I'm lying, just look around at the older women living in the Philippines that look about late 40s. Ask them their age, and they'll say they're much younger than they look. That the Philippine sun and the heat will really age a person. Also, Filipinas don't age well, as we all know. That is this man's story, a sad reality of many men coming to the Philippines. Everything he says is relatable to some degree and level. Don't forget, these women obviously try to look good in order to hook you and catch you. Once they do that, they no longer have to put the effort in. It's the same for men. It's the same for men. Don't get me wrong. A lot of us let ourselves go, but when you have both of the partners in a relationship doing that, soon you realize the lust is no longer there. And don't forget, there will always be a more sexy woman than your wife, no matter what you say. At some stage, your eyes will start to look elsewhere. So if your love for her is not strong, that will also create problems. To have a few side chicks is never a fun thing when you get caught. It's fun while you're doing it, but trust me, it drains the relationship from its energy, and you have to perhaps think of separating, and that's a whole different obstacle to overcome. Women in the Philippines will drain your bank account on several different ways, not just to try to scam you or directly take money from your bank account, but every little add up in expenses eventually will dwindle down your bank account zero. That's what you're going to have, zero in your bank account. And if not zero, at least close to it. That's why so many of these men try to go back to their home countries in order to scrape up some money, either to sell a property, maybe some vehicles they had, motorcycles, tools, try to get a job that's part-time, try to work 6 months to come back. What do you think your wife is doing in the Philippines? You think she's just waiting for you? You think you're the only person she's speaking to? You don't think she's online on Facebook, on these dating sites, talking to other men and try to hook someone off with more money? How many stories have we heard in the comment sections of men going through the same struggles? Literally dozens of men said that their fiancé got pregnant while they were away. Imagine how many don't get pregnant. Imagine how many actually do take birth control even though it's illegal in that country. Imagine how many use condoms. Imagine how many men pull out. And imagine how many men have her swallow their load. Sorry to be graphic, but it needs to be said. It needs to be said so that you're aware, that's in your brain, that you have it at the back of your mind, that any small red flag is much more obvious now. Whenever I meet someone, how often do they ask you, where are you staying? If you say a location, like BGC, they ask for the specific condo. What does it matter? How is it that you know every single condo in the city? It doesn't make sense, but you don't think of it too much. You think perhaps she maybe has a friend there or works there. No, not at all. The fact is, they've done that to many other men they've visited. Also, the primary reason why they ask you is to try to figure out how rich you are. Can you afford to live in a $1,000 studio? Or are you staying at a $10 hostel down the road? And that's when they decide whether they want to continue seeing you or not. And also, they ask you, what's your job? Immediately. I know sometimes it's curiosity, but trust me, every single question has a double meaning. Behind it, behind those smiles, behind those questions, there's a reason why they are asking you this. It's not because they're curious about you or give a shit about your personality. No, it's for their own benefit to figure out how much money you have so they can plot how they will get that money from you. This is nothing new. It shouldn't surprise anyone. If you've ever been to the Philippines, these things may sound like I'm repeating myself, but you won't believe how many men still either ignore it, don't realize it, or only fall for those videos promoting the Philippines as a paradise on earth. It is time now to look at yesterday's best and worst comments. Before doing that, remember, share every opinion you have regarding these stories. The more engagement in the comment section, hopefully the more YouTube will recognize this channel and try not to shut it down again. We have a three-way tie between 3 different people with 21 likes. All about money, unfortunately, it's a reality there, says one person. Another person says, I don't think I've ever met one Filipina that hasn't asked me for money, or at least something, but it's always something that costs a foreigner money. Theft by deception is a big thing here. An excellent point made there regarding how Filipinas will take your money. And another one here, tied at 21, is whenever the excuses or sob stories come out, just say, I'm sorry to hear that. I'll let you go so you can handle that problem. Walk away, block them before the inevitable payout is asked for. Don't ignore red flags for a Filipina you wouldn't ignore in a woman in your own country. A red flag is a red flag regardless of the country and the woman waving it. Absolutely correct. Despite how attractive they are, sometimes we want to ignore these and look past it because we are thinking with our small heads. But these are very important points. As soon as a woman says she's having a bad day, do not ask why. It does not matter to you. If she's having a bad day, let her go fix it. It's not our problem, someone you never met before, someone talking to you within the first few sentences telling you she has a bad day. That is not a natural occurrence. People will swallow their pride to tell you they're okay, regular people. But Filipinos know they tell you a bad day so they can plant the seed so they can ask you for money later. They tell you they're having a bad day so it makes it seem like it's your idea, asking why they're having a bad day so they can ask you for money. This is true inception. If you've seen the movie, it's like planting a seed. Thanks for watching. God bless.